Who the hell is Canelo Alvarez's next opponent? Well, if you guys don't know, Canelo Alvarez is set to face a fighter called William Scull on May 2nd, so we're around the corner from this fight really, and to be honest with you, nobody has a clue who William Scull actually is, and I don't think anyone's overly excited or cares about seeing Canelo face someone like William Scull. Now, I did have a look into his box rec, and yeah, he is undefeated. However, he's not fought or beat anyone of any credibility. So obviously that leaves us with a lot of unanswered questions. Is he actually a good fighter? Is he a worthy matchup of Canelo Alvarez? Because let's be honest, Canelo Alvarez is the face of boxing, one of the faces of boxing that is, and one of the best fighters in the sport of boxing right now. So every fight Canelo should be making should be against a top name. And I wouldn't necessarily consider William Scull a top name, but who knows, he could be a good fighter. Now, why is Canelo going down this route of fighting William Scull? Well, it's his mandatory, and what's interesting is Canelo Alvarez did say in the past that he wasn't going to fight his mandatory because that's not him and he's not going to fight William Scull, but then he ended up signing a fight to face William Scull. So it's a little bit confusing. I guess this is a tune-up fight for him and anticipation for a mega fight against Terence Crawford. However, I'm not sure if we're ever going to see that fight, and I hope we do, but this is apparently a tune-up fight. But the problem is, most of Canelo Alvarez's recent fights have been tune-up fights. So I don't think anyone really wants to see this fight. However, I can't sit here and speak all bad about this fighter. So I did take it upon myself to go ahead and look at some of his fight clips and some of his fights. And it's fair to say I didn't see anything too impressive. I saw a fight against a fighter called Shishkin. I hope I pronounced that right. But I thought Shishkin beat William Scull. I think he robbed the other fighter. And now a couple of things I observed on while I was watching this fight was William Scull, he has a fast jab. That's the one thing I will say about him. He has a good jab. He definitely has a typical Cuban style. Well, if you don't know what that means, Cubans tend to be slick fighters. Now, with William Scull, I think he tries to be slick, but I don't think he is a slick fighter. He has a Cuban style for sure, especially when it comes to his footwork. And yeah, he does have some decent footwork and he has a solid jab, not to mention some good speed, but I think he's susceptible to getting hit a lot. I don't think his ring generalship is the best. He was very easily controlled throughout the fight. And when you come against someone who has some of the best ring generalship in the sport of boxing, Canelo Alvarez, someone who takes control of the ring very, very well, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a great matchup. Not only that, but I noticed his defense isn't really the greatest. He gets hit a fair bit, and obviously against someone like Canelo who can set up shots, I just don't see this going too well. And I don't think anyone's favoring William Scull in this fight. But you know, let's not count him out. Styles make fights, and at the end of the day, William Scull could come out and shock us and impress us all. I just don't think it's very likely that he does that against Canelo Alvarez. But Canelo taking this fight has left a big question mark on his career and what his future plans are, because I think we all would have much rather seen him face someone like David Benavidez, someone who's been holding off facing for years. Not to mention, he said that Benavidez hasn't accomplished anything and he just talks smack. However, I'm not entirely sure what William Scull has accomplished, and I suppose William Scull is a step in the right direction if Canelo wants to be undisputed again and not lose his belt. But I think at this stage, especially in Canelo's career, I don't think that should be his main concern. And I'm not trying to undervalue the value of being undisputed and the belts, but I think legacy comes much more important at Canelo Alvarez's stage of his career than belts would. Now, this fight is going to be sanctioned and held in Saudi Arabia. Turki Al Sheikh got his hands on Canelo Alvarez finally. It wasn't going to be long before that happened and Canelo was going to be in on the Saudi action, but he's finally in. This is his first fight in Saudi Arabia and maybe many more to come, but we'll see. Now, I just want to mention there's one thing that I noticed about this fight. I was looking into it and this fight is going to be on pay-per-view. Now, I'm not sure about you guys, but you are not going to catch me paying to watch Canelo Alvarez versus William Scull. I'm not being funny, but if this was Canelo Alvarez versus David Benavidez or even Terence Crawford maybe, then 100% pay-per-view would be acceptable. Pay-per-view would be understandable at least. But this fight, I don't know why the hell it's on pay-per-view. I mean, yes, it's going to do pay-per-view buys. Of course it will. It's Canelo Alvarez. It doesn't matter if Canelo's fighting a tree stump. He'll still get pay-per-view buys because of his name and the impact he has on the sport of boxing. But the one thing I'll say is I can't say anybody's really interested in this fight. You know, the views aren't really too high on this, and I think the media even know themselves that this is a trash fight, considering they're advertising this as a Canelo Alvarez fight on May 2nd. Like, literally, that's when I'm seeing articles, it's saying Canelo Alvarez fight on May 2nd. It doesn't say Canelo Alvarez versus William Scull. If anything, I had to deep dive into Canelo's next fight to even find out who his opponent was. So it's really just being advertised as a Canelo Alvarez fight in Saudi Arabia on May 2nd, which literally tells me that this is going to be a joke of a fight. It's not really going to be anything crazy. I don't think the fans really want to see Canelo Alvarez face this guy. But like I said earlier on, who knows? William Scull could come with the upset. He could come out crazy. I don't think he's going to stop Canelo Alvarez at all, especially looking at his record. He has 23 wins, 9 knockouts. So it's evident to me he clearly doesn't have much power. So hurting someone like Canelo Alvarez who doesn't get hurt, I'm going to say near enough impossible. But hey, like I said, let's not underestimate William Scull. He could be a great fighter. For all we know, he could bring his best on May 2nd. But what do you guys think of this fight? Is it a fair tune-up fight for Canelo, or is it a poor decision by him and his management? Let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload. Anyways, that'll be all. I'll catch you in the next one.